Ahoy! In the first of two videos today, we're talking about SMITE, we're talking about Maui. Maui will be the next support in SMITE, and he comes with some interesting basic attacks and various pull mechanics. Now first we briefly have to talk about this card art here, because what is going on? He looks like The Rock, while he was expected to maybe look like the character in Moana, that's also Maui, that is played by The Rock or voice acted by The Rock. And now this character is technically closer to The Rock than the character that was voiced by The Rock. It is... you make sense of it. Anyways, aside of this strange face choice for the card art, let's have a look at the trailer. If you haven't seen it yet, we'll play that in the background while we talk about his closer look. That actually starts off with the lyrics of a song. "Oh, tall is the tale of the mischievous one who fished out all the islands and captured the sun. His deeds and tasks I will unmask so that you'll understand that before there was a Clark Kent, there was a Hawaiian Superman." Interesting choice considering this song is from 1993. Maui is the premier demigod of Polynesian mythology. He is known for a variety of supernatural feats that improve the lives of his people. His magical hook, Manayakalani, is always by his side. With his strength, skill, and magical hook, he fished up the islands of Hawaii to give his people a place to live. Maui wrestled the secret of fire away from Alai Ula birds and brought it to humanity so they could cook their food and warm their shelters. Maui ensnared the sun to lengthen the days so people could complete their necessary tasks before dark. He even grabbed hold of the sky and hurled it higher to make room for the mountains and the trees to flourish. Our vision. SMITE is no stranger to demigods. Hercules, Mulan, Achilles, Cuchulainn, and Gilgamesh will welcome Maui onto the battleground of the gods, and he will, of course, bring his own unique style to this category of god. Maui's unique cultural background and his magical hook provided a powerful starting point for his visuals and gameplay. These elements are closely related to the forces of nature. Earth, water, and sky are all important parts of his mythology and will also be represented in his abilities. Core theme. Theme, the mighty fisherman. Maui's hook is part of him. It's a key visual distinction for him, as well as his tool of choice for most of his epic feats. This feature was a top priority in his visual and gameplay design. Visuals, Polynesian perfection. Fit, strong, and agile. Maui's form is well balanced and he sports signature clothing from Hawaiian history. Personality, charismatic. Maui will win you over. Whether it will be genuine or part of his plan to influence you towards his goals, those around him will listen closely with admiration. Perspective. Lovable trickster. Maui has often made trouble for the gods, but always in order to help humanity. They know he might be trouble, but they can't ignore his charm. They know his heart is in the right place. Artistic process. We had a strong starting point for Maui's body type, so most of our early explorations were focused on his clothing, accessories, and ornamental aspects. Maui is a prominent figure in multiple Polynesian cultures, especially Hawaiian and Maori. For SMITE's depiction, we aim to focus on the Hawaiian presentation, so some of the Maori-inspired concepts were shelved for now. Research into traditional Hawaiian clothing was a top priority in the process. Plant fibers were the base, reflected in Maui's skirt and cloak. A special type of bark cloth called kapa can be seen in beige. These garments were usually adorned with feathers, tattoos, or symbols that reflected a person's skill or position. As a demigod, Maui would certainly have some impressive detail. Maui's is patterned in many locations with traditional fisherman styles, and his hook is reflected in multiple places in his design, sculpted from animal bone. The hook itself stands out by being a bright white color and is ornately carved. The combinations of grass, kapa, bone, and even touches of leather come together to create a godlike appearance while still staying true to the origins of his culture. Gameplay. Maui is a guardian and has multiple design choices in place to make him more favorable in the duo lane, although we certainly expect him to be tried or even forced into the solo lane on occasion. One of his abilities deals no damage and has relatively weak effects unless an ally is nearby to utilize it as well, which will make him have a more supportive playstyle even if he ends up being viable in the solo lane. His unique basic attacks are certainly alluring for more aggressive bruiser players, but in general, his damage output is low and he is much more defined by his CC and utility. As the premier hook and grapple god, Maui has lots of ways to wrangle his opponent, and his kit is focused on heavy crowd control and lockdown elements, both single target and AoE. Unique gameplay features: medium ranged, melee, basic attacks. These are longer range than spear users and always cleave. By the way, if you played League of Legends before, then think about which character this reminds you of, which support character. There will be more overlap elements that are very interesting. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But anyways, this is very unique. So we are not going to see ranged attacks. This is not going to be a Sylvanas type of thing, but rather a melee attack with further range than spear attacks, which are currently the longest ranged melee attacks, but also a cleave. So it's wider as well. So the way that spear attacks work in Smite is basically they have a longer hitbox than normal basic attacks, but it's also narrower. It's like a spear basically. It's pointing more forward, but you can't reach as much width. And I think that usually feels better, like especially on a village. I really like these basic attacks because you have a little bit more distance to confirm it, and usually the side damage is not that important, especially if you're using a single target attack. But since Maui's attacks also always cleave, it means that being in his general vicinity is going to be a risk, and this is going to be very, very interesting when it comes to laning early on, because he can basically sit near a minion wave and still be a threat to you from what it sounds like. On the other hand, the Maui player probably also has to be careful, especially early on, because you could leverage that by constantly have him pull aggro by sitting behind your minions and hitting you with his basic attacks, so that every time he does that, he'll get aggro from the minions right in front of him. So, interesting mechanic. I want to see how that one goes. Along with that, he has a passive ability that allies can help him trigger, which gives Maui an additional CC on his basic attacks. So, very interesting again, because I don't know how allies could help, if allies have to pick something up or interact with something in order for him to activate this additional effect. But that's very, very spicy, I think, because you're having to watch out for a large cleave basic attack that can also CC then. It sounds like a high pressure guard. A grapple ability that tethers enemy guards to Maui. Very unsurprising. I could imagine that this is somewhat obviously related to the hook, but maybe also to the bubble from his data mining. Maybe you can like hook someone and put them in the bubble. Don't know exactly how that will work, but it definitely sounds interesting, and it sounds like it might be some sort of leash mechanic with a tether. Basically similar to Osiris, only that you actually cannot get out of the distance, so he's functioning like a walking Persephone ult at that point. Maybe. Then he has an ability that has no effect on enemies and allows allies to transport themselves to Maui's location. Now, again, if you've played League of Legends before, which character does that remind you of? It's Thresh. I really hope that this works similar to Thresh's Lantern, where you can throw it out and then an ally can activate it and basically teleports to you at their own choosing. I wanted that in Smite for a long time, but in earlier times I think it wouldn't have been possible from a technical standpoint, because there wasn't really a way to interact with an object thrown out by an ally. Maybe this will be as simple as you have to basic attack that object for it to work, but I think it's really cool that they're finally introducing something like that. It's just a very fun mechanic for support to have, where you're letting your ally choose if they're gonna get your help or not. Then there is a pendulum swing style leap with a variable leap range. I'm really not sure how to interpret that one, because how do you do a pendulum style leap? My guess is that maybe he hooks into the sky and then swings on his hook, and then you can drop off at any point of the swing, but again, just a wild guess. And then there is an ability that summons a large blocking volume and can pull multiple opponents to Maui. So I'm hoping that he will in some way pull the ground up or pull islands from the floor or whatever, mountains, and then just pull enemies in with whatever he's pulling from the ground. Will you be the hero that Smite players deserve, rescue your teammates, or support their attacks in ways unlike any Guardian before him when Maui arrives in the Battleground of the Gods this October? I'm very excited for him. His playstyle sounds very nice, and I hope you're looking forward to him too. And you can also look forward to a New World video today if you're interested in that. We've made a very interesting discovery on the patch server. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing and clicking the bell. Thanks for watching. SLOTH out.